Hey everyone, so today I'm going to talk about the reasons why I think you should read Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. So reason number one is that there are fantastic characters. One thing that you will know if you ever read one of Francesca Zappia's books is that her characters feel very flesh and blood. They're the kind of characters who make you laugh, cry, want to scream. You get frustrated because of their actions. They're the kind of characters who make you feel. She creates an experience where these characters are real people to you, and they're complex, they're multi-layered, that's the kind of experience that you want to have when you're reading this book, not being like, oh, these characters are flat, or you're just like not getting into the story because you're like, are these people, why should I care? You are always going to get engaged in one of these stories because her characters feel real. And the second point I have is that this book also really likes to break a lot of gender stereotypes. So the romantic interest, for instance, is this guy who used to play football. He's this big, hulking guy. And he also writes fan fiction, and he's a selective mute. His voice is like very soft when he actually does talk. These are like breaking traditional stereotypes already. And then like with just the main character and the fact that the way that she handles her anxiety, her social anxiety, and being a creator is not typically something you tend to see in pop culture. Like if you are a woman, typically the women are always compromising, the women are always told to be nice, like, oh, you don't smile enough, honey, or something like that, right? She's breaking a lot of gender stereotypes too. The main character, throughout the book, there are multiple side characters, multiple characters who generally break these gender stereotypes, which I really, really love. Also, in relation to point number one about fantastic characters, even if you don't root for the main characters, there are a fantastic host of side characters to root for too. Number three is this unique formatting. So you probably have already seen some of this, but you can see here that you get some of the drawings throughout the book, and you see these little sections that accompany the drawings, and they both have a lot of meaning to the story because this is the story, the comic that the main character has written, and along with sections that are also key, but I don't want to tell you too much about them because that might be spoiling a plot point. But it all comes together, and there's just this amazing meta-ness to the entire story because there's also a series of books that Eliza bonds with people over, and that book series is what Chessie has already posted online, The Children of Hypno. She posted that on Wattpad. Monster C inside this book is a real story. All of these are real stories, and there's a loop, like it comes back to make its own point about fandom. Fans and creators take inspiration from the fandoms, from the books that they loved themselves, right? I love that this book is making those kind of points with the meta-ness of the story. And it's so uniquely formatted. There's not a single young adult book that I can think of that has that kind of formatting or inclusion of other stories as well, right? Even the horror young adult novels have these like pictures that are included in the stories, or Fangirl and Afterworlds. They have like the fan fiction that Kat wrote, and also like sections of the story that the main character, I think in Afterworlds, wrote, but they don't have the level of meta-ness that this story has. And that's actually one of my other reasons. You could say reason number four is that this book is unlike any other that you've read. Yes, it is being compared to Fangirl and Afterworlds and Nimona, but it has way more than any of those do. I'm not saying that as like a critique on those other books because I love Fangirl, but Fangirl only looks at Kat's fan fiction writing. It doesn't give you Children of Hypnos. It doesn't give you, which Chessie has posted online, it doesn't give you Monster C comic and also the like transcription of the comic below it, or like other ways that fans are interacting with the forums that are on this webcomic. It goes way more into depth about fandom and the act of creating than either of those. Well, I haven't read Afterworlds, but it goes way more into depth than Fangirl, and I also really loved Fangirl. So this is like meant to be a super endorsement for how unlike anything else that you've read this book is. And my last reason is that no matter who you are, if you are watching this video, it's very likely that you're going to find something to relate to in this book, whether it's Eliza's relationship with her parents and thinking back to like how for me that was part of it, right? For me it was like, oh yes, my parents didn't understand the internet, or like my hobby of reading as much because they saw that as like shutting off the world sometimes. So there's going to be something in this book that you relate to, whether it's her social anxiety or her main character's desire to create, or how she interacts with her fandom, or how the fandom interacts, right? Because Chessie is obviously a part of various fandoms, because you just get a sense of that in this book. She understands how fandoms work and why people love to engage in them too. All in all, I would highly recommend Eliza and Her Monsters. This blurb by Marieke is completely true. A love letter to fandom, friendship, and the stories that shape us. Eliza and Her Monsters is absolutely magical. I don't think I could put a blurb better myself. It's got great characters, great plotting, great formatting, this like amazing meta story aspect. It is on point for what fandom means to various people and the act of creating. It'll get you talking about how people interact with authors online. It is great. It is timely. Please read this book. Hi everyone, today I've got great news. I am going to be in a book